Hey guys, welcome back to Shop Talk, and I noticed that we need to reset Atigun. We've been using it a lot lately to shoot little overnight trips, shoot some trail talks, just general purpose use for production and camping and off-roading. And it needs to be reset, cleaned. Basically, I'm just gonna go over what we do anytime we come back from a major trip with our trucks and go through the whole systems and just check, clean everything, and we'll take you guys along for the ride. Let me show you the list I have going, and we're gonna start checking things off that list. With Atigun, we have listed out everything we can think of. We might add some stuff to it, or some of the stuff on here may not need to actually be done. Before I dig into any of the nitty-gritty stuff, I'm just wanting to vacuum, clean, pull everything out of it, and then I can determine what needs to go back into it, what doesn't need to go back into it, because there's a lot of randomness in it right now, so we'll go from there. Shock top tip is, if you're washing your own vehicle, always use your own brush where you know the source. Don't use the brushes at the car wash. You can take your chance, but a lot of times we find that those brushes have a lot of grit in them from whoever used them before, so you run the risk of scratching up your paint on your vehicle. So if you're gonna use a brush, bring your own brush with you to the car wash, or just wash it at home where you know where that brush has been. Now that I've washed it, I want to do a very important step that I recommend everybody does when they get back from a trip, is to open everything up. Open up side doors, open up any door, open up your tent especially, and just let it air out, and then that'll give me a chance to check, okay, if I open up this door and there's a bunch of water in there, I should probably look at the seals now. So it'll let you find some issues maybe that you didn't know existed yet. Atigun's washed. Opened up, airing out. Next, vacuum and clean out fridge. How's that? How's that framing? Should I do my interviews right here? Now I need to remove everything out of the back of our P-Core. In fact, pretty much anything that doesn't belong in the truck, I'm gonna pull it all out so I can vacuum it, clean it, and then I'm only gonna put back in what belongs in it all the time. The drawer, I'm not gonna pull everything out of there because 98% of the stuff stays in there, so I'm just gonna do an organization of the drawer where it's at. But I have battery chargers, camera gear, personal bags, all sorts of stuff that I just wanna pull out and just do a reset, put it back in once everything's vacuumed out, and we'll move on to the next thing on the list. Got a pretty good chunk of the list done for the day, but it is 5 o'clock. I'm headed home. We'll see you guys in the morning, and we're gonna start off with getting it up on the lift, checking all the fluids, changing the oil, and while I'm underneath the vehicle, just checking everything over. We'll bring it back down and then continue on down our list. Before I put it back down on the ground to fill up the engine oil, I am going to utilize the time that it's up, change out diff fluid, and just do a really nice thorough check of everything underneath. Real quick shop talk top tip. I've said it a lot in the past, but I'll say it again. Before I drain my diff fluid or any type of fluid that has a drain and a fill, I always like to loosen that guy first so I know I can get the fluid back in after I've drained it. Anytime I'm letting fluids drain, I just like to keep looking over everything. Found some zip ties missing, found some loose screws, so just going along and fixing anything I find along the way. All right guys, now that I got all the fluids changed, I think the next thing I want to do while it's still a little bit earlier in the day is pull out the winch lines from the front and rear winch, give them a good inspection, wash them, even though they may be okay, especially the one in the back. It's been receiving all the dust because it's in the back. It's a good idea to go through and clean your winch lines anytime you've winched any kind of sand, dust, mud, especially synthetic. Metal winch line, not as big of a deal, but synthetic line, the grit can get into the fibers and can wear away after a while. So I'm just gonna spool everything out, clean it. It also gives me an opportunity to reset the spooling. We've been using the front winch quite a bit. The last thing you wanna do is have loose line and then a layer of tension spooled line. So it's a good idea to always have the loose line, if any, on top of the spool on the outer layer versus underneath. till the winch line dries. I can't re-spool it till it's dried, ideally. So I'm gonna go through the rest of the things. I'm gonna check the light bars. It's just a nice idea, especially in the summertime when it's a lot brighter for longer out and you haven't ran your light bars for a while. Doesn't hurt to turn them on, make sure everything's still happy. I'm gonna check those. I'm gonna clean the engine air filter, replace the cabin air filter, look at the tool drawer, check the tires. They don't need balanced, I just drove it. So just make sure there's not any weird wear that would require rotation. Then just keep checking around for anything else that I find. It's actually not bad. Just a quick gentle bang against the tire. Looks like, if I remember right, I did actually replace this guy somewhat recently, probably before we went to Expo. All the lights look good. Can erase that one off the list. Let's do tool drawer. Really does amaze me that these tires are the ones that went through all of Nordic, all of Iceland, a bunch of trips around here, and they definitely have their signs of wear and tear, but these X3 tires are indestructible. It's wild what we've put them through, and they still have so much life left in them. And feeling them, I mean, there's some cupping. It's not bad. It's actually something I've been thinking about. I'll put it on our schedule to take it in for an alignment. An alignment is something a lot of folks think, oh, it's only when I do suspension work or something, and then after that I'm good. It's actually something I would recommend having done probably once a year regardless. It should be more of a routine maintenance item than what it is. That's what we're gonna do with this guy. Can't do it right this second because I gotta call them and get it scheduled, but we'll have it done later. All right, so I'm re-spooling in our rear winch. I have the line ran all the way out to my Forerunner as an anchor. Not as an anchor, but as a tensioner tool. I threw Ryan in there just so somebody would be in there to steer it, but now I wanna make sure that I evenly layer the line on the drum. So that's why it's really important to be able to have gloves on, to be able to hold on to the line, to feed it in. Now this one, being in the back, actually uses the Warn Hub, which is a cool app. Has instant response and a voltage readout. So engine running to supply good power to it. Thank you. You want to back it up to roughly where it was because we'll do the front one now. All right guys, I hope that was as satisfying for you as it was for me. It feels really good getting the time finally to go through it, do some maintenance items, do some resets. This was a little bit more extensive than what an average normal like weekend getaway you'd want to do when you come back. But after our trucks get back from any major long haul expedition types of trips, this is an idea of what we like to do with them. So thank you for joining us on this Shop Talk. We'll see you guys on the next one.